Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
Boy, that last break was interesting. We talked about all sorts of crazy things. I took a spam call live on the air.
That was fantastic, Brad. I'm so happy for your performance there. Because I thought that you were going to have a real conversation, and knowing you, I should know better, Brad.
Well, no, I had a real conversation. They hang up on me.
You did have a real conversation.
See, here's what's interesting. I love those spam calls because, you get the automated AI voice. What's interesting is you can. There's a couple different games I play with the automated calls. Right off the get-go, you could say, like if it's a woman, and they'll say, "Hi, how are you?" I go, "I'm horny. Can you come over to my place right away?" And then they'll go like, "Well, good. Now, let me tell you." So then you get the real life person. And apparently they've gotten so good at knowing who the pranksters, right, like me are, that you say a couple of words, bang, they hang up on you.
Yeah, they're gonna know that every second further is just a sunk cost.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks to Kit Boga and thanks to Scammer Payback, and we could say this on the air because it's not an English word, but MADAR and then CHODE, which is pronounced Madarchode. That is someone who has love with their mother, and I'm not talking about the Oedipus complex. And then the fake name I gave a lot of times, Brad, is Benjamin Chode. Now, Ben Chode, and I tell them that I also go by Ben Chode. Ben Chode means in Indian a man who has relationships with his sister. And apparently in India, it's worse to call someone a Ben Chode than to call them a mother chode. Whereas in the United States, if you curse, you say mother bleeper, But over there, it's worse to say that you have relations with your sister.
Okay, can I tell you something? I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get pushback from people on this, but
okay.
The people who, and you've been anywhere like a public building, if you've gone to typically you'll see them at post offices and at government buildings. I was in downtown St. Charles last week, and there was a guy soliciting signatures for the abortion thing they want to put on the Constitution. Okay, mm-hmm. And if I were the pro-life people, I would be saying, go find those people and put down fake names. Because
I think there's some of that I don't mean to interrupt, Brad, but I think there's some of that probably goes on.
Well, because of the
I don't think it's organized, but I think for sure people give fake names.
Well, but that way when they go through they're supposedly checking the people.
The verification, yes,
right.
Signature verification.
And if enough people did it, they would get kicked out. You know what I'm saying?
I do. At work now, the flip side of that, Brad, is that we all dealt with in 2022 potheads standing outside of a retail center trying to get signatures. In general, most of those folks, and I forgot the name of the group that organized them, but most of those folks are paid when they turn it in, they're paid per signature.
Right.
And they're not paid per verified signature. So in other words, if you're paid $3 a signature and you turn in 100 for a day, you get $300. That group doesn't sit there and match up signature. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
so in other words, you're helping the signature gatherer when you're doing that. You get what I'm saying?
Now, here's what's interesting. Okay, now maybe I violated a law by doing this. And if I did, call me and just tell me to turn myself in, but don't tell me to show up in shorts and flip-flops. Remember,
yes,
the story we talked about, the guy who works for Glenn Beck, who was arrested. He's a journalist, and he was arrested, and the FBI called him and said, come on down, but wear shorts and flip-flops because of the fact it'll be easier to put you into the jumpsuit and the leg irons. And I'm kind of like, okay, here we go again. It's like all show. It's like the perp walk, the whole bit like that. Okay, where was I going with this? Okay, I said to the guy in front of the St. Charles County building, I said, "Can I take a picture of this?" And the sheet was almost filled. And he says, "Yeah, I don't care."
You're kidding me.
No. So I took a picture.
Wow.
I took a picture of and once again, I don't know if I violated a law or not. He said I could.
No, you didn't. He shouldn't have showed it to you. I mean, just common sense dictates he shouldn't have shown it.
Exactly. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, now on my camera, I have a picture probably of at least 18, 19 names, addresses. I think they was it phone number, the whole bit. I mean, I know it's name and address because they have to verify that you are a citizen of the state of Missouri. They have to verify that's where you actually live. Isn't that what the protocol is? They verify residence and verify that you're a real person. Isn't that how they do it?
Yeah, and so actually this is the center of a recent tempest in a teapot in Missouri because there's an Oklahoma firm peddling its services that makes the signature verification process, as I understand it, much easier for secretaries of state. And, I've never been through that process, so I don't know exactly how it works. And by the way, for folks who are interested in this, you can look up Decline to Sign, Missouri Right to Life. And Brad, by the way, our friend Stephanie Bell is a key part of an effort for Decline to Sign the petitions. State Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman is involved. I believe Bob Onder is involved. And well, there is an organized campaign called Decline to Sign. And if you go to Stephanie Bell's social media, and she's at Stephanie S. Bell on Twitter, she posted a video, I think, last night talking about those efforts.
Well, now, what I don't understand. Decline to sign. You can just say, no, I don't want to sign it. Can't you do that? Is that?
Yeah, no, of course, Brad. But this is an information campaign that gives people talking points to talk to their friends.
Oh, I got you.
And say, hey, here's why you should. It sounds like like when people approach you, it sounds like an innocuous thing. Oh, let people vote on women's health care. But here's what it's really about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. They're essentially it's not like the guy grabs your hand and says, "Okay, I'm going to put your hand on this thing and you're going to make you sign."
Right.
But you're saying essentially just telling people that, like, hey,
yeah,
look.
It's raising awareness about why when they're approached for this petition, it's not what it appears to be.
Well, but see, okay, now I'm not the expert in this. We've got the big controversy. Remember, we called Bill Eigel, but he wouldn't answer the phone. But the situation is, what happens to this signature campaign that if they do get the initiative petition reform on the November ballot, isn't that aren't they competing issues? In other words, let's say on one hand you've got the hold on a minute. On one hand you've got the constitutional amendment that would essentially allow abortion in the state of Missouri, and on the other hand, you've got on the same ballot, you've got the bill which would kick things like the abortion ballot or the abortion movement off of the ballot. Where do we stand on that?
So Brad, that's the question. The question is, will the pro-abortion people get enough signatures to appear on the August ballot or not? And so I don't think anybody knows that. I mean, they're going to have a ton of money to continue collecting signatures, but relatively speaking, they got started pretty late.
Well, so in other words, but as I understand it, if they do get the IP, the initiative petition reform on the ballot, it'll be in the November ballot. Isn't that correct? Or are they?
That's correct. And so, in other words, if that happens, I don't know. I mean, I think it looks like it'll probably be too late to appear on the August ballot, but they still have time. I think they would have to turn the signatures in May, I believe. I could be, somebody will correct me on this if we're wrong, but I think that if the pro-abortion people submit signatures by a certain time in May, then the question could appear on the August ballot.
But they're still bouncing this around in the Missouri legislature, correct? It's not been
about initiative petition.
Yes, exactly. That's not.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Has that cleared the House, or is it cleared?
It is not. Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman presented it in the House, in the Senate on Tuesday, and I believe it was laid over, which means it hasn't passed yet. But actually, I got to double check that. I'm not sure exactly where that stands.
Okay.
Hold on. The Senate took an initial vote on it, and it passed once. And then I believe it came up again on Tuesday, and it was laid over for a second reading. But I'm not certain, Brad. I'll have to look.
So it's still in limbo land, essentially, right?
Yeah, in other words, yeah, that's exactly right. And now that I think about it, it did pass the Senate. The House is going to come back with the House's version of it, and then the Senate will essentially get another final say at it, as I understand the process.
Now, is Parson, is he up to sign this? I mean, you know the
Oh
politics.
yeah, absolutely.
So he'll put
absolutely.
So if it makes it past the House and the Senate, he'll put his signature
exactly.
on it.
It's a matter of getting Republicans to agree on it.
Okay, KFRU, and I know I've said for 3 breaks we're going to talk about KFRU. All I want to ask you is one question. Yep. Isn't that the KDHX of Columbia?
I think so. No, wait a minute. I think KOPN. Let me Google this. I thought KOPN was like the KDHX.
So what is
KOPN is Mid-Missouri's independent community radio.
I got
it. KOPN is like the hipster version of Columbia's version of KDHX.
Right. And
KFRU is KFRU is licensed to Cumulus Media.
Right. Okay. That's the okay. I got confused on that. Okay. Now, yesterday had to go out to our transmitter site in Washington, actually in Crapville. And I got stuck in a traffic jam on 44 going westbound. Matter of fact, it started at Valley Park, went all the way out past Antire Road. They had repaired a couple panels of concrete, 2 lanes of concrete out there just west of the Antire overpass. And apparently it hadn't cured yet. I think they did this on Monday, or they did it on Tuesday night, yesterday or Wednesday morning. They did it Tuesday night and it hadn't cured yet because when I got out there, there was nobody working. There was just the lanes blocked, and there was one guy sitting there in a truck, I guess waiting for the concrete to dry. Okay. Having said that, on westbound 44, on the left side, right where they have those new apartment buildings, if you know where I'm talking about, if you're going west on 44, once you get past the 2 hotels, you've got the Drury Inn and Kimmer. Okay, there's now a series of apartment buildings, and there's a bunch of billboards, okay? And I'm sitting there, and one of the billboards says, people wrote down what they saw. And then there's an address, there's a web address, 83fortruth.org. And then there's another billboard just west of that says Dare to Investigate. And it shows a guy reading the Holy Bible, and it says 83fortruth.org. Okay, and it has little signature on, little icon. So I dialed 83-4-TRUTH, okay? Twice in one morning. Okay, so here, let me dial this live on the air. 83 FORTRUTH. Let's see if I dialed this, and I hopefully dialed it right. I don't get a porno line. Okay.
I'm on their website.
Thank you for calling the toll-free number for gospelbillboards.org.
For English, press 1. Para español, marque 3.
Okay, now you go to here. So let's do the English. Okay, I'm doing the English. Okay, we'll do the English.
To speak with someone on our phone team about your questions or spiritual needs, press 0. Para español, marque 9. To learn more about gospelbillboards.org, press 1. To listen to brief...
Now, I did this. I listened to this.
Gospel Billboards posts gospel messages in all 50 states because we want people everywhere to know the Lord Jesus Christ, repent from their sins, and commit their lives to Him. Millions of people read our gospel signs every day, and thousands of people have received spiritual encouragement from someone on our phone team. Gospel Billboards is one of many programs under Christian Aid Ministries. Other programs provide food, clothing, and medicines to needy people in many countries all over the world. We also send teams of volunteers to help survivors of natural disasters here in the United States. To find out more about our Billboard program, visit us at gospelbillboards.org.
Now,
to listen to brief explanations about our Billboard messages, press 2. To speak with someone on our phone team about your questions or spiritual needs, press 0. To return to the main menu...
Okay, I'm going to hang up, okay? In full honesty, I pressed 0. I'm going, I want to see what happens. Phone rang a few times, and a guy got on the phone with me and explained to me that he was there to help me. And I said, would you pray for me? And he says, yes, and he prayed for me. And I thought to myself,
that's really nice.
Well, I thought to myself, now hold on a minute. So then the businessman in me kicks in, and I go like, okay, how do you do this? Because I would estimate that those 2 billboards on I-44, I don't know, it depends upon how long of a contract they have with their DDI boards. I don't know how long a contract they have with DDI. But I would say those are $2,000 to $3,000 a month billboards, and there's 2 of them right next to each other. He told me at any point in time they have 1,500 to 2,000 billboards up. Now, once again, some billboards are maybe a couple hundreds a month. Some billboards, depending on where they're at, maybe $5,000 a month. I'm fascinated by the fact that, and I said to him, where do you get your funding? And he says, we don't really actively promote donations. He says, but people send us money. And I'm thinking to myself,
that's really nice.
But John, I'm thinking to myself, every day, I think to myself more and more, I'm in the wrong darn business. I won't say damn.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking to myself, how do I keep these radio stations on the air? Well, it's been tougher every year. Look at the climate we're in. You know, the two biggest broadcasters, radio broadcasters, Cumulus and iHeart, have gone through bankruptcy. The third biggest broadcaster, Odyssey, which had stations right here in St. Louis, right now at this very moment is in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But yet you said something earlier that if someone says, well, if you can't invest your money in TikTok, you got to invest your money in Meta. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, why don't they invest their money in Odyssey, or iHeart, or Cumulus, or Brad with his radio stations? You know what I'm saying?
I do get it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I get what you're saying. I think the bottom line is what we've learned is if you could combine billboards and Arch Apparel, sweatshirts, and Olivia Rodrigo merch, we wouldn't even need to have this conversation, Brad.
But see, what gets me is, and I don't want to sound like I'm being a jerk when I talk about this, I'm thinking to myself, if I go out all day long and try to sell advertising for my radio station and say, hey, look, you know, we promote the community, we're, you know, talking about things involved, like our show, you know, you and I essentially do an hour on like the politics and who's doing what and what you should watch out for and what's going to happen in the state legislatures and stuff like that. So in other words, we're doing sort of a public service thing, okay?
Right.
And people go, I don't want to advertise your station. Matter of fact, I have a deal going right now where I'm offering ads for politicians who are running in the April election for $1 an ad. I have one guy who bought it so far. One guy. One guy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what does that tell me? You know, what does that tell me is that they just don't give a you-know-what. You know, and to the point where it's frustrating to me is, but yet, if tomorrow I wake up and I go, okay, I'm done with this stupid Egbert thing. I'm done with Westplex 107.1. It's going to be God Squad. Yes, I'm going to go, hi, this is Reverend Brad, and I'm really working hard to, you know, make your life good. And we're playing contemporary Christian music to put positivity in your life. Grab your phone. Send me $100. Send me $1,000. Send me $10,000. Yes, you can do it right now. Chances are I'm going to get donations.
It is, but you use that breathy voice, Brad, and you might attract male callers that you don't really want.
Listen to you. Say goodbye, John.
See you guys tomorrow.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?